Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you for coming to the Tribunal on what is a landmark day for the ICTY and for international justice generally. The arrest of Ratko Mladic and his transfer to The Hague brings the ICTY one step closer to the successful completion of its mandate. Yesterday evening, I received Mr. Mladic at the airport, and together with my staff, we carried out the regular induction procedures at the United Nations Detention Unit. It's part of my responsibilities as Registrar to ensure that Mr. Mladic's detainee rights are respected at all times and that he is provided with adequate facilities for the preparation of his defence. As with all of our detainees, Ratko Mladic will have access to the best possible medical attention that the host state, the Netherlands, can provide, including access to any necessary specialists. I'm ready to take a few questions. Thank you. Please.
You saw Mr. Mladic, Nick Robertson from CNN. You were there when Mr. Mladic arrived. Is he being cooperative?
I was at the airport. I met Mr. Mladic as he walked down the steps from the aeroplane. I was accompanied by an interpreter and by the detention unit doctor. We communicated throughout the evening, both at the airport and then later at the detention unit through the interpreter. I can say that we had no problems understanding each other. And he was very cooperative.
Mr. Hocking, we have heard a lot of rumors about his very poor health coming from his lawyer in Belgrade. What was your impression about his physical condition yesterday? The first question. And the second, did he give you any indication? Does he intend to defend himself or he will choose a lawyer?
The first question, as I said, I had the United Nations Detention Unit doctor with me at the airport. He asked Mr. Mladic some questions and made a determination that he was fit to be transported from the airport to the detention unit. Then, consistent with the regular induction procedure of all detainees, he was examined by the doctor, by the nurse at our medical facility in the detention unit, and the doctor saw no issues that were necessary, that it was quite consistent for us to continue with the regular induction procedures. The second part of your question, relating to his defence, again, that's one of my key areas of responsibility, to ensure that accused persons are able to engage the best possible defence. We had a preliminary discussion with him. It is part of the regular induction procedure. We hand over a number of documents, including documents relating to the appointment of defence counsel, and over the coming days, staff from my office will continue to meet with him to discuss the possibilities for his defence.
He didn't give you any indication?
No, not at this stage. It's too early, obviously. Please.
Can you tell us why he's not being presented to the court today? Sorry, Emma Alberici from ABC Australia. Why he's not being presented to the court today and why it's taking until Friday for that first appearance. And then a question I asked the prosecutor that's probably best levelled at yourself, and that is that in the event of a sentencing, where would that sentencing be served, or how do you decide where the sentence is served?
Sorry, could you repeat the first question? The first question was, you've forgotten yourself. Relating to the enforcement of sentences, why you think about
why it's taking until Friday for the case to be...
Yeah, in terms of the initial appearance, this is completely consistent with our regular procedures. An initial appearance is to take place within a number of days following the transfer to the detention unit. There are a number of procedures that we have to go through, including the discussion relating to appropriate counsel, but so that initial appearance will take place on Friday at 10 o'clock before the 3 judges. In relation to enforcement, all of our enforcement is undertaken by third states. We have bilateral agreements with states. We currently have 16 such agreements, but the discussion relating to enforcement does not take place until someone has been convicted, and then my office engages in those discussions, and subsequently a decision is taken by the President of the Tribunal as to where a convicted person will serve their sentence.
Bruno Waterfield for Daily Telegraph. General Mladic's lawyer in Belgrade has said that 2 years ago he received chemotherapy for Hodgkin's disease. Was this notified to you yesterday? And you said that he had access to specialists. Do those specialists include cancer specialists?
First, I was talking generally that all of our detainees have access to any specialist care that may be needed. At the moment, the doctor at the detention unit is undergoing the regular tests that are undertaken with any new arrival at the detention unit. But one of my key responsibilities as registrar is to ensure that the rights of detainees are respected. And one of those rights is the respect for privacy, their aspects of their medical health, their state of their medical condition is a confidential matter, and it can only be made public with the consent of the accused person themselves, or in certain circumstances by order of a chamber. So I'm not in a position, I'm sure you'll understand, to go into details as to his state of health.
Slađana Lučić, RTL Croatia. Can you tell me, did Mr. Ratko Mladić have any questions or demands regarding his detention?
As I said earlier, he was extremely cooperative. The normal induction procedure takes 2 to 3 hours. Once he arrives at the detention unit, this is routine. It involves first meeting the commanding officer of the detention unit, who explains the regime that is applied there. We explain to the detainees the privileges that they have, for example, in relation to communications, telephone calls, visits rights, their rights to see consular representatives, and this proceeded very smoothly. It was a very cooperative and very smooth induction process.
Hi, Matt Cole, BBC News. You've spoken about his medical condition, and I appreciate it might have been difficult with the language difficulties you may have, but could you assess his state of mind for us at all?
As I said, we communicated through the assistance of one of the tribunal's interpreters, who do a fantastic job, and I have to say we had no problem understanding each other. We communicated extremely well, and he was clearly paying attention and listening to the information that we were providing to him.
I'm Martin Geisler from ITV News. Alongside Radovan Karadzic, also in this detention unit, I understand, are half a dozen senior Bosnian Serb military officials who served under Mladic in Srebrenica. Will you be allowing him to mix with them in detention, or will he be segregated?
There is no question that at this stage that he will be segregated. But in terms of who he will share a wing with is still to be determined. We have a number of wings at the detention unit. They have approximately 12 detainees on each wing, and over the coming days, the commanding officer will make an assessment as to where is the best place for Mr. Mladic to go for to spend his time in the detention unit.
So there's no plan to segregate him from Karadzic or any of his underlings?
As I said, at this stage, it's still being determined.
Rachel Irwin from IWPR. I'm just wondering, have any detainees in the past been declared mentally or physically unfit to stand trial? Thank you.
That is ultimately a decision of the judges. It's a judicial determination. My role is to ensure that the detainees receive the best possible care in the detention unit. A decision such as that would involve the judicial process. It would probably involve the calling of experts, etc., by the relevant chamber.
Has it been in the past?
No. No. There have been none in the past.
Alvise Armelini from the German press agency, DPA. I saw a report indicating that the cost of detaining each accused is about 280 euros. I was wondering if you could confirm this information and if you could give us an idea of what Mr. Mladic's cell and what the facilities are like. Thank you.
I mean, the latter part of your question, on our website we actually have photographs and some video footage showing a typical cell at the detention unit. All of our detainees have their own cell. They have access to television. They have access to a common area where they can cook and where they can spend time together. They also have access to the outside, usually on average around 2 hours a day, where they can go outside, they can play sports, they can walk around. The costs, this is actually quite a complicated process. We have a services and facilities agreement with the host state, with the Netherlands, and there is an element of costs that are met by the host state. There's an element of costs that are met by the United Nations. For example, we at the detention unit pay for all of the medication, the prescribed medication that is provided to detainees, but aspects of hospital care, specialists, etc., depending on the circumstances, may be met by the host state or it may fall under our responsibility. That's it.
Robert Booth from The Guardian. It sounds like you spent quite a lot of time talking to him. What did you talk about, and what, if anything, did he say about the charges he's facing?
He did not comment on the charges he is facing. We talked a lot about the procedures. For example, at the airport, I explained to him that the host state is responsible for his transport back to the detention unit. I explained to him what those procedures would entail in terms of his transportation. When he got to the detention unit, I spent a considerable amount of time explaining to him the relevant rules of detention, as I said, his privileges, the regulations that govern visits, that govern phone calls, to ensure that he had a good understanding of the regime that he was moving into.
What did he say to you?
No, I mean, we engaged in what was clearly we had a good communication, and he asked instructive questions and understood the material that I was presenting to him.
Hi. Sorry. Hi. This is Christine from Xinhua News Agency, and I was just wondering, how does his daily life look like until Friday? What is he doing during his days?
He will be spending the next days meeting registry officials to determine how he wants to proceed in terms of defence counsel, what type of representation he would be interested in. We will continue to undertake the usual, the regular tests, medical tests that are done on all new new arrests, and he will have the possibility to organise visits as well. There may be people that he would like to see over the coming days, and we will clearly facilitate that as much as we can. We do, and it was one of the things that I briefed him on, that we do make available various educational programs. It's very important that we make these facilities available to our detainees, but he didn't express an opinion on a particular language at this stage.
Douglas Hamilton, Reuters. At Rikers Island, Dominic Strauss-Kahn was placed on suicide watch. Are similar precautions being taken for Ratko Mladic?
I can state categorically he is not on suicide watch. This would be something that would be determined by the commanding officer and the relevant medical staff, and there was no reason at this stage to place him on such a watch.
Thank you. Sergio Cantone, Euronews. Will General Mladic will be submitted to some additional and extra health checks, even compared to the normal procedure?
It's very simple. He gets the full treatment that any of our detainees receive. It's very much in the hands of the medical authorities, the doctor, the nurses. They make that determination, and we provide the best possible medical facilities we can to all of our detainees. As I said, at this stage, it is very much routine.
Lauren Kamato, CBS. I just want to confirm, you said he was paying attention and listening during that induction procedure. He was understanding what you were saying. And did he have any special requests, music, food, inmates he wanted to talk to?
No, to answer your question, no. He didn't raise any special requests, but yes, the first part of your question, it was a very, as I said, we communicated well. My assessment was that we clearly understood, both sides, we clearly understood each other. Yes, sure. Okay, last two.
Giovanna Pancheri, Sky Italia. Talking about the health condition, anyway, there is no doubt that you will be able to face in front of the court on Friday morning. First question, and second question is, was he dressed with a military uniform when he arrived, and do you know if he bring it with him or not?
As I said, our responsibility at this stage is to determine that he's receiving the best possible medical attention whilst in the detention unit. The issue of whether or not he is fit to stand trial is very much part of the judicial process, and the judges would be involved in that should that issue arise. The second part of your question, he was dressed in a suit and tie.
Did he at any point give you an indication as to whether or not he recognises the mandate of the court?
No, he didn't comment on that. That's it. Thank you very much.